Hello everybody, my name is Marcia Fervienza. I'm here today as a guest on Nadiya's channel, and I am here to talk to you about this week's new moon in Taurus. Yes, so first week of May, May 7th, we do have a new beginning on the menu for us. This new moon is going to happen at 11:21 p.m. Eastern Time. And because it is in the sign of Taurus, we are talking about something very palpable, tangible, that I can feel, that I can touch, that I can sense, that is material. There is nothing about this new moon that's merely an idea that cannot be verified, quantified. No, it is Taurus. And with Taurus, we may be talking about a business partnership. We may be talking about a romantic partnership. We may be talking about a financial opportunity. All of these themes are ruled by Venus. Taurus is more about material stuff. But still, I wouldn't discard the possibility that we are talking about a relationship or a partnership that does not involve money. But for sure, we are talking about a relationship or partnership where the reciprocity of it is palpable. It has to be palpable. I have to have a clear sense of what I'm getting from it. I have to have a clear sense that it's not a one-way street, that my desires are contemplated too, or it won't work for me. So back to the new moon. This is a very tangible, palpable, quantifiable, verifiable new beginning. Mind you that because it's a new moon and new moons are dark moons, you may not immediately see what it's about. Perhaps that's going to be made clear to you as the moon starts getting more light from the sun, perhaps. However, it is at the area of your chart where you have the 18th degree of Taurus, you should have a new beginning. The sky for this new moon is pretty awesome, if I may tell you. So this new moon is arriving with 5 planets in Taurus, one of which is Venus. Venus rules Taurus. So the ruler of the new moon is in the sign in which the new moon is happening. There's a lot of coherence here. There's a lot of confluence. Like it's as if all ducks were lining up in a row to bring me something. We had one event prior to this new moon. Second, the last 10 days of April, well, actually it was exact on April 20th, which was the conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus at the degree 21 of Taurus. So at that area of your chart, it's very likely that something new showed up to you, or you decided to do something different than you've been doing for a while, and that could have been surprising to you. That could have been a not of the box approach to a situation, and that is something promising. That promises growth. Well, the new moon is within orb to Jupiter and Uranus. Jupiter is already separating from Uranus, 3-degree orb, but I mean they're still within 3 degree of orb. So yeah, it's still, the influence is still there. Then we have the moon and the sun at the 18th degree, and then we have Venus at the early degrees of Taurus at the degree 10. What do we think this new moon is about? Well, in the same day of the new moon, we have the third encounter between Mercury and Chiron. By the way, let me just pause here for a minute to tell you that I'm going to be teaching a class at Nadiya's school on May 16th, and it's going to be all about Chiron in your natal chart. So we're going to discuss the myth of Chiron, what the story, the mythology of it tells us, and how we can bring that to understand the psychological dimensions of the owner of the chart, the owner of the nativity. So if you're interested in psychology and vulnerabilities, and you definitely want to be there. We're going to have 1.5 hours to talk about that. You can get more information about that in Nadiya's channels, any channel. She's been publicizing it a lot, so don't miss it. Okay, back to the new moon. The same day of the new moon, we have the third encounter between Chiron and Mercury. So here we are talking about looking at a vulnerability, looking at a feeling of inadequacy, something where I don't feel quite capable of, where I don't feel quite secure about, but that I look at with courage. This is not the first encounter between these two. Well, because Mercury was retrograde, they first got together on March 20th, before Mercury went retrograde. Then again on April 14th, when Mercury was retrograde. And now it is the last encounter between these two. So we have here a discussion, a conversation. We have the opportunity to contemplate. We're trying to address an issue here. We're trying to address a situation, perhaps a flaw in our communication, perhaps the understanding of the bigger picture, perhaps we want to start something, but we don't know quite yet how to do it. You probably will reach the conclusion you're trying to. You will have reached that conclusion by the new moon. And the new moon could be the start of something more tangible to address the issue that was put in evidence for us with the conjunction between Mercury and Chiron. With these two in Aries, nonetheless, with these two, we have no escaping of what's going on, what is wrong, what hurts me, where is my vulnerability, how am I dealing or not dealing with this situation, and what are the consequences of it? A loaded question, isn't it? Well, third part of this conversation that first started on March 20th, you may reach a resolution here. And that resolution may turn into a concrete action, a plan that you're going to execute in a very palpable manner within your relationship, romantic relationship, business partnership, involving your earnings, expenses, self-esteem, sense of self-worth, your values. And Taurus, we have Jupiter there. So this is something that we are looking at with the perspective that it's gonna, in fact, be bigger. I mean, Taurus, it is an earth sign. So we're not talking about like unbelievably bigger. We're not talking about Sagittarius. We're talking about Taurus. It's going to be bigger, but within the grounds of reality. Yes, we're going to expand, but it's going to be very concrete. Yes, This is how much you're gonna make. This is the plans for our relationship for the next year. There are very clear grounds for growth here. And that's not all. It gets better. The new moon is receiving a sextile from Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn is all about reality. In Pisces, it kind of limits and puts some boundaries to the ideas that we have of what could be. It's like our dreams and wishes are always within a reality check, within boundaries. It's not that we cannot dream, it's just that we are not gonna get away with dreaming mindlessly. We're not gonna get away with thinking about things and doing things where we don't have any consequences. Here, the consequences are what you're working for. If you do work within the grounds of reality, it is very promising and you have a lot of lag on it. You can go far with it. You may not be able to see it immediately, especially because you're coming from a conjunction between Mercury and Chiron, so you're kind of hurt. It may be difficult for you to see clearly, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Oh, this is gonna turn into such and such and such. You're kind of hurting. So you may not be able to really see it, but man, oh man, do not skip this opportunity. Be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful of people. Be mindful of who you talk to, what they talk to you about. This opportunity is something that's going to happen. And because it's a new moon, and because you're coming from a kind of somewhat painful scenario, you may not be immediately aware of what's going on. So you have to be attentive. Chiron is not only about hurt or vulnerability. Chiron is also about teaching and empathy. So perhaps you're talking about a new approach of explaining something, discussing about something that is gonna be healing, but that is very empathic, despite the conjunction happening in Aries, which is a more combative sign. So I think you have all cards on deck for you. The sky, at the moment that the new moon happens, it's looking pretty awesome. Mars is at the sign it rules. Venus is at the sign it rules. Jupiter, the new moon and Saturn are talking to each other in very amiable terms. And the new moon it arrives within orb of a trine to Sirius in Capricorn and Lilith in Virgo. I don't think it gets much better than this. I don't think so. So whichever plan you have for May 6th, May 7th, May 8th, make sure you make room for good stuff coming to you. This may be a great financial opportunity. You won't want to miss it. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, Nadiya, for the opportunity, and I'll see you at the class.